all-knowing and all-powerful, starting with the elderly wolf uncle. Chapter 133. Chen Tian thought with some excitement, doesn't the black-robed picket have compound number 5? I can mass-produce super soldiers and then have them pit against each other, so that I can't copy them indefinitely. He thought of the big super and endless Hulk farm plans he had conceived before. Now, it can be put in the black-robed picket to carry out our gong. Although the yield of Wu Hao's compound is limited and the success rate is not high, it is completely worth a try. The more Chen Tian thought about it, the more he felt that this matter was feasible. Immediately, he set his eyes on the Walt building behind him. Meanwhile, all the cameras around the Walt mansion, after noticing Chen Tian's movements, also focused their images on him. What the hell does he want to do? Ashley, Barrett looked at Chen Tian's slightly excited gaze on the screen, and suddenly only felt that his body was stiff, his body trembled, and his scalp was numb and creepy. P.S. Walker Company changed to Walt Company, the front is wrong. Chapter 94. Obedient Motherlanders, raising super soldiers in water. Inside the Waters building surveillance. On the largest screen in the middle, it was Chen Tian's calm face, and his eyes were indifferent looking at the building. Damn, what the hell does this guy mean? Ashley, although Barrett was only across the screen, she still felt that her body was penetrated by the cold and frosty gaze. It seemed that a fierce beast was staring at her only a stone's throw away, and a dangerous aura erupted from her mouth and nose, covering her. Ashley instantly felt that she was poured with cold water, and her body was already covered with dense cold sweat, and her hands and feet were shaking. The situation is not good. Only these few words echoed in her mind, and her pupils shook wildly. Then, a black man in a capable uniform walked in the doorway, his pace unhurried. The elegance and indifference that radiates from every move are incompatible with the panic atmosphere around us. He is none other than Edgar, the current president of Water. Ashley, calm down. Things are not so bad now. If the other party wants to be unfavorable to our Walt Company, he has already started it directly. Edgar has a gentle manner, a gentle and organized tone, and a magical power to soothe people's hearts in every word. It seems that he didn't pay too much attention to Chen Tian at the door of the building. Or rather, it is not considered a threat. Boss. After Ashley heard the other party's words, Fang was so nervous that it was difficult to think, and suddenly relaxed a lot. Also figured out the joints in things. Truly. If Chen Tian really wanted to destroy the Walt Company, he would just do it directly. Judging from his current performance, it is estimated that he has other demands. There is room for redemption. The rest of the employees, after hearing Edgar's words, also relaxed a lot. It's just that Edgar himself, after speaking, looked at Chen Tian on the screen with a solemn expression. That's right, as he said. But, what does this person want? Head. Then, Ashley came up and reported in a low voice, this person appeared out of thin air, and he couldn't find out any of the other party's origins, and there was nothing he could do. After saying this, Ashley seemed to find a relieved. Now I finally don't have to take all the pressure on myself. And Edgar waved his hand, his tone was already calm, let me go and talk to him properly, don't worry. Quote. As long as you are not an extreme person, there is room for negotiation. Meanwhile, Chen Tian also looked through the entire building through supervision, and set his eyes on Edgar and several people. And heard the 327 conversations they had just had. I suddenly felt funny in my heart. Talk to me, I am not from the motherland, but I will not be at the mercy of others because of what others say. Quote. He thought silently, however, the idea I just came up with could be used by Walt Corporation. Quote. The new idea that came to his mind just now was to use compound number 5 to build a super soldier processing plant. Although it is not as good as before, Chen Tian already has the idea of building a Krypton Superman processing factory, but in comparison, there is still a long way to go before the realization of the latter. After all, Chen Tian's strength has not yet reached the point of doing whatever he wants. However, the former, based on compound 5, is now completely achievable. And the world of black-robed pickets can just be a good location. As for Walt Company, it can provide him with sufficient resources for this plan. It's perfect. In that case, it is really necessary to contact the other party. When Chen Tian thought about it, he thought of Jinhe, who was controlled by his psychic ability, and it seemed that his world would have another partner. Then, his thoughts fell. Leaning over and grabbing the motherland on the ground, his feet off the ground and soaring into the air. Phew. Immediately, it easily flew into the sky, easily broke the bulletproof glass on the top floor of the Walt Company, and entered its office on the top floor. The people around the square were shocked when they saw this scene. I did not expect that this young man, who had never seen it, actually relied on himself alone, and directly hit the motherland and the locomotive and lost their mobility. And the other superheroes were also shocked by him and did not dare to take any action. In this world, can there be such a strong existence? Chen Tian's appearance completely broke the cognition that these masses originally thought that the Super Six was completely invincible. What is he flying to the top floor of the Walt Company for? Is it to work with Walt Corporation? Time. Various speculations spread among the crowd. The other side. In the monitoring room of the Walt Company, Edgar and all the other staff were paying attention to Chen Tian's movements. After all, the other party is a person, a ruthless person who can overturn all superhumans. Every move that follows could determine the survival of their company. And on the screen, after Chen Tian mentioned the motherland, he raised his head and took a deep look at the camera. Others didn't find anything strange. But Edgar felt that the other party's glance was actually looking at himself. Then, looking at the picture, after Chen Tian entered the top floor of the building, he immediately understood that it was not an illusion just now. This strange and powerful teenager is actually telling himself that he is waiting for him on the top floor. Could it be what I just said? He has heard. Edgar couldn't bear to guess in his mind, and of course no one could give him an answer. No one knows what kind of abilities the other party has. But, in any case, you'll know if you meet first. He took a deep breath, did not hesitate indecisively, and directly took a few of his subordinates and rushed all the way to the top floor. Edgar knew in his heart that whether Walt lived or died next depended on the next negotiation. Subsequently, Edgar took several powerful men, including Ashley, called the elevator, all the way to the top floor of the Watt Company building. As soon as the door opened, he saw the teenager who had caused panic to the entire city, standing with his back to the gate, overlooking the city at his feet. And not far from him, the Motherlanders who were brought up have regained their sanity and mobility, and they have not cleaned up the sludge. Edgar. The moment he saw Edgar, he lowered his head a little ashamedly. Chapter 1 Previous Chapter 133 186 Next chapter End Table of Contents